Hello everybody, welcome to my first video. In this video, we are going to talk about arguably one of the most popular Linux distros out there. It's called Linux Mint. I'm going to describe to you the basics of this Linux distro and what it tries to achieve. Basically, it tries to provide an elegant desktop offering different user-friendly variants, especially for users who want to switch over to Linux from Windows. Let's proceed to an overview of the whole system itself and what it requires. So now, let's look at the system requirements for this Linux distro. The first thing you need to know is that the minimum requirements include 2 GB of RAM and 20 GB of storage. However, the recommended requirements include 4 GB of RAM and 100 GB of storage. It is also needed an x86-64 CPU. So you can see here I have booted into the Linux Mint desktop of the Cinnamon edition, and so you can probably see at first glance it looks very nice, very elegant. You can see here we've got that pull-up menu and we have all this stuff here. And so I'm going to go through a little bit of this to show you what it's like to use this distro. And so we can see here we've got the terminal right there. And so we can also see we've got the default Firefox browser, which can be changed if you'd like it to. And we've also got the file system, which is this here. You can see you've got home, desktop, documents, and so yeah. So I'm going to start testing this distro, and you can follow along. So this first test I'm about to show you will involve the playback of a 4K video. And so what I'm going to do is that I'm going to first open the Firefox browser. There we go, very responsive, don't you notice that? And so then I'm going to type in my YouTube link. Okay, there we are, loading. Very good. Let's see, what do I feel like showing off for a 4K video? You know what, Leah, let's do France. How about that?
Grammarly can't teach you to dance, but it can help you make a great impression for free as you type.
And so what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to change the resolution, very sorry. Might take a little bit for the first start, but you can see playback is very good here. Very nice, huh? A different taste of the world for all of you, for anyone who hasn't been to France in 4K. There is no struggle whatsoever to play this, and so that's very nice, I do think. So the next thing what we're going to do is that we're going to do a little bit of testing with the customization, and so I will teach you certain things on what to change if you want them to, such as the desktop background and other preferences, such as the taskbar, and so I will be right back. So one of the next important things I'm going to show you is this, which you can see here. It's a software manager, and you can easily access this by going to the search bar up here, and you can type software manager, and it should look like this little icon right here, right there. And so what I've got here is that this is like an app store for your Linux Mint system. You can see we've got the editors, picks, and the categories. And this has a lot of applications inside of it. You can see for some certain categories like graphics, we've got GIMP and we've got Blender, both of which are very good image and, you know, drawing programs. And so we've got a few others like Minecraft, which would be found in the games. And you can also see we have Wine already inside this software manager. And that's a really good thing for people who want to use Linux to kind of use Windows applications. And we've also got stuff like the Office categories. We got LibreOffice right there. It's already installed on mine. Pre-installed, that is. We got a few others. You can see. You can also see they got ratings, and they don't go in order from highest to lowest, because you can see there's obviously a higher one here. But you can kind of see it really acts like, you know, the App Store on your iPhone, for example, because it's got like the user ratings and if you click on one of these, you'll see a description and, you know, the requirements, and it really kind of gives you that feel that you've got a nice little app store. And that's what I really liked about that. You can see all the reviews here, and that's really good. And so one of the next things I'm about to show you is the configuration. And so I'm going to access this. Let me just click this out. We can type here, System Settings. You can see it's right here. And it also says right there, if you can see a control center below where it says System Settings in the bottom right. And so we can click on this, and we get all of these icons which tell you what you can change. For example, we have all these things like themes and backgrounds. So if I wanted to change my background, I could choose some of these, or I could upload some of my own pictures and put them in a folder. And what's also good is that you can also play them as a slideshow, which I think was very clever. A lot of the Linux distros I've reviewed previously but haven't shared with any of you didn't really have this feature, and I hope to see more of that in some other ones that I hope to review. But we've also got other things like applets and desklets, which you can see. These are the desklets right here, and these are the applets. You can manage one, or you can download some, which, depending on what you want, it might take a little bit to catalog them at first. But essentially, it's going to load a catalog of all the desklets or applets, and you can choose which ones to download based on what you want. And so, it's almost finished. There we go. For example, I could download this weather one, or this new Cine menu one, which basically edits this menu down here. And there's a few others, such as redshift, and CPU temperature indicator. And remember, you don't have to install all these, but whatever you'd like. We also see here we can change the panel. And so if I want to change the height of it, make it larger, see like that. A little too large though, so I'm just gonna shrink that. We can determine how big we want the symbol icon to be. Obviously you can see that these down here are now much smaller. Or maybe it wasn't that. I don't know what I was looking at, but... And so we've also got a few others, such as, you know, we got the general, which allows you to set some other settings you might want to change. You got VSync in frequency, and the memory limit, which kind of limits the memory the system uses. And I think that's pretty much it for this system settings. I think there's really a lot more though that you could probably figure out yourself. Obviously, date and time is pretty much essential. You can see here it brings up this map. But I think one thing to know is that it might not have your setting already in place. The date is correct, but my time most certainly isn't, so I'll have to fix that. And another thing to note is that a lot of these distros use the 24-hour clock. And so you can simply switch this off and it will display the time like this. You got the hour and the minute in AM or PM. And so that really is kind of important, because I've been forgetting a lot while testing to do that, and I usually don't know military time well enough. And so there we have it. There is the system settings. We've got so many more things in here, and we also, it's worth pointing out, we've got the hardware designations and administration. I almost forgot to tell you about that. You see here we can view the disks and the printers. We've also got system info, which will basically tell you your system specs. You can see these are mine here. You got Intel Core i7 7500U at 2.7 gigahertz base speed, and I've got 8 gigabytes of RAM. And so, whoop, I did not mean to click on that. We've also got management for the users, and so you can see I'm just in a live session, so I can add one, but it won't save. And it looks like pretty much it for the most essential of all these. And so the next thing I'm going to show you are applications you could use on these on a daily basis. And so in the previous test, I've already tested a 4K video on YouTube, but I'm also going to test other things, such as maybe office work and maybe emulation. And so I will be right back. And so I'm back here again with running LibreOffice Writer, and I'm just gonna skip all this really quick because I don't need to read this. I'm also gonna close this out. So we can see here we got this nice little document writer, and so I'm just gonna, for example, test a little bit of this out. I don't know, let's do this font, and I'm going to make the font really big. So I'm just gonna type that. You can see, very nice. If I wanted to just type something different, give you a feel of how that is. There you go. And so you can see it works really fast. And if I wanted to type something different, I could. Go. And so you can see I can also change this to bold, italics, or even underline it. I can also change the color, or I can highlight it like that, you see. And so you can see it's very responsive. It doesn't struggle to type anything. I could type all day if I wanted to. Basically kind of wraps that test up. I mean, I'd have to think that of all the, document writers out there, they'd obviously all be responsive, but I just wanted to kind of give you that feel of what it would be like typing on the system, especially when you're not using something like Microsoft Word, which is installed on Windows 10. And so, there we go. And so, I have already tried to do emulation on the system, but unfortunately I have had trouble trying to reach an image or a ROM because unfortunately the website for whatever reason is actually down for me that I tried to download it from. And a lot of the other downloads, because of time's sake, are just too long. Some of them even wanted to take like 30 minutes or so, but I'll try to do other emulation tests in the future, and I'm very sorry for any of you who are expecting that, so that's all I really have to say about that. And so I'm going to start to draw my final conclusions on this Linux distro as we near the end of this video. And so here we are now at the end of the video, where I have reviewed pretty much what I think I needed to of Linux Mint. And so that's gonna do it for this video, guys. I will leave a link to the description to the DistroWatch page where you can find also more information. And I will also leave a link in the description to the Linux Mint homepage, where you can also find more information and the forum. Until next time, guys.